Good morning, my dear friends. Time to set up for the morning briefing. Hey, who's this? Valentino. Buenos dias. Valentino's a great guy working hard down here in Surfside, California every single morning. Wow. Bluefin tuna and Ensenada really starting to rock and roll. We're going to talk about that. What about Tanner and Cortez Bank? What's the weather doing out there? That seems to be the critical factor right now. A lot of yellowtail around. It's been really good. And hey, near San Pedro and Long Beach, limits of calico bass for one boat. We're going to check it all out. Yeah, I got to set up. It's time for the MB. Let's get to it.
Yeah, baby. And then when we get 65,
Send it to Friedman Adventures.
Hey, good Thursday morning, my dear friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. It's a gorgeous day. There's very little wind blowing in on my back. Some sizable surf here today, but not too bad. Amanda, we have a lot to talk about. Bluefin tuna explode off of Ensenada, Baja, California Norte. We're going to talk about that. We'll also check out what's going on in some other Baja great fishing areas because Baja has been red hot. What's going on Tanner and Cortez? We got to find out if that wind, if the fan is off or on, and what the forecast is, because that seems to be and playing a critical part in the whole bluefin tuna yellowtail situation out there. We're going to look at the islands. We'll look at the surf. Paulina Varela, my co-host from Mexico, is en route, set to arrive here around 12 noon today, and we've got a big day planned for her. We're going to go to Island Fishing Tackle. I believe we'll be doing a podcast later today. We'll be running all around Southern California. And then tomorrow, on board the Island Spirit out of Ventura Sport Fishing. Big day planned for you here on Friedman Adventures. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh, my goodness, is that good? And is it great to have you with us? Again, if you'd like to meet Paulina, or you'd like to surf fish, or you'd like to attend our end of summer party. Man, I can't believe I'm even saying that. And it's kind of a little bit of a party. It's going to be Saturday right here in Surfside, California. It's going to be a lot of fun from 1 o'clock, or I should say from 11 a.m. until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you're invited, whether you want to surf fish or just bring some donuts down or bring some coffee down or just show up and hang out with the Friedman Adventures gang and meet Paulina and her mother. Once again, she is my co-host in Mexico. When I'm in Ensenada, I'm working with Paulina and her great family there at both Juanitos. It's always a lot of fun. She's going to arrive today. We'll be fishing on the Island Spirit tomorrow, and then we'll be standing right here on this beach. You're going to want to park down there where that tower is on Anderson Street and Pacific Coast Highway. Walk out on the beach, hang a right, walk down 10 minutes. You'll find us right here. There'll be a sizable crowd indeed. So we'll see you here on Saturday for sure. Hit that like button. We appreciate it when you do that. Share these videos with a friend. Subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel and tick that little bell because you'll be notified when the little fishies are biting or when we have some other great content for each and every one of you. You can catch us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and TikTok. Man, I appreciate all the great support you've been giving us. All right, let's talk south of the border first of all. Down there in the Bay of LA, once again, Abdul Ryan and Manny Mercado and a bunch of other guys had such great fishing in Bahia de Los Angeles. When we opened up the show today, we had some footage of a Dorado jumping, and that was the boys down there putting the wood to them. They had copious amounts of Dorado. They had cabrilla, yellowtail, and so much more. Bay of LA is on fire. They fish with fish arms. Fish Arms with a Z, sport fishing. Really, really a great operation according to those guys. Really fun stuff. All right, Cedro still great yellowtail action. Sam De La Torre from Island Fishing Tackle is taking a group of lucky anglers down there in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to hear and see the reports from those guys as they're going to have great yellowtail action. If you want to focus on calico bass, you can also do that. And there's other stuff around there like halibut and occasional white sea bass. Sometimes offshore you'll get yellowfin, tuna, you'll get dorado. But right now the focus on just some extraordinary yellowtail action. Let's talk Ensenada. You know, if you've been following us here on Friedman Adventures, you know how much I love to make that 70-mile drive down the Baja coast right there. You enter in at Tijuana. I like to enter in actually at Tecate because there's a carne asada joint there that I absolutely love, Los Amigos. But you enter there at TJ, make the 70-mile drive down, and you're in beautiful Ensenada. The offshore bite there has been sporadic at best, probably best described as non-existent. It's been very slow for several weeks now. Offshore, it's hard to catch a bluefin. It's hard to find a kelp holding yellows and dorado. It happens, but it's been very difficult. That is until yesterday when the roof blew off and great fishing for the guys from Baja Fishing. Diego Puentes reached out to me and said, Phil, bluefin everywhere. And not only are there bluefin everywhere, said Diego, but they are chewing and biting. Mara Sport Fishing. Great fishing for Mara Sport Fishing. And I'm not naming everybody just because they're too voluminous, but everybody who was out there got in on some outstanding fishing. Trolled Mad Mac lures, effective. Little dart jigs like Dawa Sakanas, 120 grams. Very, very effective. You had bait, you were bit. It was really great fishing. Also, Louis Prieto from It's For Real Sport Fishing. He's going to try to get out here and make it happen here recently. Louis got a hold of me yesterday and said, Phil, it's game on here. Now, there is a caveat that I'm going to throw your way, and it's going to go for everywhere up and down the northern Baja and southern California coast, and that is for wind in the forecast to manifest itself here this afternoon, and it's going to get kind of snotty, so we're hoping that doesn't have an adverse effect on the bite, but it perhaps could. So we got the good news and the bad news here. Forecasts, you know, they're subject to being wrong, so we'll just have to wait and see. But this looks like it's going to get a little bit windy. Great fishing offshore. So happy to see it. Hopefully the boys will get in on it here today. They should be able to pound out some good bluefin tuna fishing here this morning out of Ensenada, and then the wind will pick up this afternoon. And I'll have more on that forecast because it's going to affect SoCal also, as we have been dealing with some windy weather. You get high inland air temperatures, you get windy weather offshore. That is nothing new. On the inshore scene, guys are able to pick off yellows on the yellowtail bird schools. Of course, those yellows force bait to the surface. The birds get on it, and they show the way. You roll up on that and throw a surface iron, and you are bit. You hope, anyway. That is the hope. Mint green, Tatty 45. Such a great way to hang a yellow down there. There's also some good local sand and calico bass fishing and plenty of great eating rockfish. Great fishing south of the border right now. I don't know how you can beat it. We'll stay south of the border and talk about our long-range boys out of San Diego. The 7 and 8 day trips have been spectacular, and it is continuing for the guys that are running those trips out of San Diego. They're finding good fishing on 50 to 80 pound yellowfin tuna. Pretty good wahoo fishing. That has tailed off a little bit, but it's still decent at times. A mix in the terms of size of fish, anywhere from 20 to 60 plus pound who down there right now. Yellowtail fishing has been outstanding, and these guys have been going into the Baja coast and catching white sea bass, more yellowtail, some outstanding calico bass fishing. It has been a great long-range summertime season for the boats that have been fishing down there. All the guys have had spectacular action, and that just seems to be continuing. If you have unfiled taxes, well, shame on you, because Tim Marquez has been doing taxes for 35 years. He's a Friedman Adventures family member. Give him a call today. And if you have heating and or air conditioning needs, it's John Lopez to the rescue, who's just out at Island Fishing Tackle. And Sam De La Torre said, fantastic service of fish and heating and air conditioning. Give John a call and tell him Sam and I say hello. All right, so back to Southern California now. We'll go out to Tanner and Cortez Bank, where it is breezy. Pretty good this morning. I think guys are going to pick off some fish, and there's been a little bit of that going on. I'll describe that to you in a moment. However, the wind's going to come up, and it's going to be breezy through the weekend. And I mean, quite a bit more breezy. It's already been a pain in the you-know-what out there trying to deal with that weather and catch fish, but it's going to get a little bit more breezy. Now, that is also combined with, at least we're surmising, the full moon. The full moon seemed to put this fish in a funk about 5-6 days ago, and it just hasn't been biting as well as it has. Now, I talked to the Highliner. Max is on there, and Max said, Phil, we really worked hard out here. We picked and we scratched and we tried to put a day together, and if you ask me, they did pretty good. 38 bluefin tuna yesterday for the Highliner. Nothing wrong with that. Mostly like 15 to 40 pound fish. Occasionally you'll get a little bit bigger one, but that's that smaller fish that is on Tanner and Cortez Bank. And there's that yellowtail also, especially out there on Cortez, dropper loop fishing. That has been the way to make that happen. So you have that mix of fish, but it's been off the bite now. We have a weather forecast that is not optimum and could definitely have an adverse effect on the bite, push it down even further. The good news is we're seeing a ton of fish just about everywhere we look. So you have that Tanner Cortez Bank area where there's great yellowtail action at times, and there's been fantastic bluefin tuna fishing on that smaller grade up until about 5-6 days ago, and it's staying down right now. The Ocean Odyssey, a 2.5 day trip, 76 on the bluefin tuna Spirit of Adventure. A 4-day trip, they had 200 yellowtail. That is some fine yellowtail action. 124 bluefin tuna, telling you that there are still fish there, no question about it, but it is slow. The Thunderbird, Davies Locker, Newport Beach, on their most recent trip said, man, this is a pain in the butt dealing with this windy weather, but we managed to put together some nice fish. And sometimes when it's windy offshore on that Tanner Cortez Bank, it forces guys in towards San Clemente Island where the big fish have been hanging out. So what you're going to get in a day like that is fewer fish, but the guys who get them are going to have real trophies. Gino Machino was on board the Pride, and he just got back in yesterday out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro. He said weather, fishing tough, no question about it. They had 9 yellowtail fishing Cortez Bank. Gino said he was fishing 100-pound. A man after my own heart, fishing the really heavy stuff. And 7.0, 8.0, 9.0 hooks, big hooks with live squid. They had 9 yellows. Gino with the biggest yellow on that trip, a 30-plus pound forky. There's some nice big yellows zooming around Cortez and Tanner Bank right now, and even in Pyramid Cove at San Clemente Island. But there you have it. Fishing the heavy is definitely the way to make things happen. Now that big fish, again, you can kite fish that during the daytime. Every once in a while, get a fly line bite on it. Hopefully, we're going to get back to some really good fishing here. But now, as the wind picks up on my back, blowing about 8 to 10 knots right now, and the surf is up a little bit, we'll have to wait until we get through this weather, I think. Now, bluefin tuna will bite in snotty weather, so we'll have to see. It might be a situation where the Cadillacs, a term we use to refer to the big guys, all the big long-range boats will be able to hang in that weather, but it could get really nasty here later this evening. We'll watch it for you very, very closely. Hopefully it'll settle down a little bit more, but right now, tough fishing for the most part out there. 2 zones, Tanner, Cortez, we're calling 1 zone, and then in towards San Clemente Island, we are finding the other zone. Hey, if you're going to buy something from Promar, you go online and you can buy anything from lobster hoot nets to gaffs to great jigs and their new fluorocarbon, the GT4 fluorocarbon. You can do that by going to www.promarahi.com, but you want to put in FA at checkout and save 10%. Don't forget to do that, my friends. Don't forget also Paulina Varela right here on this beach on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. Who knows what we'll do after that? Maybe we'll adjourn to someplace and go have some chicken wings or something like that. So show up down here. You are all welcome. We'll just hang out together. Whether you want to surf fish or not, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk the islands And we've got to start south of the border at the Coronado Islands, a stone's throw from Point Loma. And man, I'll tell you, fishing was outstanding. The Mission Bell was out there, and they have been having such great fishing this year. 3 brothers were on this trip. Friedman Adventure family members extraordinaire. I'll tell you that right now. James, Jason, and Pete Williams. Guys, thanks for thinking of me. Thanks for sending the great video. And thanks for sharing your outstanding trip with us. They had 65 yellowtail on this trip, 4 bluefin tuna. Sometimes you're fishing the islands proper, and other times you're wandering offshore down below the rock pile or some of those surrounding areas. In any case, outstanding fishing on the Mission Bells, and those brothers had a really memorable trip, and I am so happy for you guys. 25-pound fluorocarbon fly line bait works really well. You can catch fish on the yo-yo iron and surface iron at times also, but it is really a bait bite. That is the way to make it happen. Nice going, James, Jason, and Pete. I'm so happy you had such a great trip. Liberty, 33 yellowtail. Most of these boats are at about 35 anglers. Let's call it that. Lucky Bee had only 3 anglers, a yacht, and they limited out on the yellows yesterday with 15 yellowtail. San Diego had a bluefin and 46 yellowtail for 30-some anglers. So Coronado Islands have been so steady this year, have been so consistent, and it has been one heck of a great bite. I will tell you that right now. Let's get you up to San Clemente Island. Many of the boats will be fishing Clemente this weekend because of the wind. They're going to be in there catching some good calico bass, occasional good yellowtail. There's been a sea bass hit or 2 in the squid grounds from time to time, and a lot of rockfish there at SCI proper, fishing the island, not offshore where you're finding that big bluefin, or out behind there on Tanner and Cortez, where I fished commercially for several years. Very familiar with Cortez and Tannerbank. My brother and I, when we are in our teen years, ran a boat and fished out there a lot in prehistoric times. So really, really good fishing at Clemente, but you're going to throw a lot more boat pressure on it. It's going to be windy there this weekend also. All right, we'll take you into Catalina Island, where it seems to me like fishing is picking up. There's been some really good fishing. Good bass fishing on the El Patron yesterday, as they had a good pick at the bass, especially for those anglers fishing the lighter fluorocarbon, like 15-pound, taking their time to choose a good hot bait. It was limit-style bass fishing. And throw on it 80 bonito for wide-open bonito fishing. Take care of those bonito, and they're really good eating and fun to catch. That was a great day on board the El Patron yesterday. The Pursuit also had a good pick at the calico bass. I'm seeing some better calico bass fishing right now. And in addition to that, the Pursuit had a variety of other species, whitefish and some rockfish, and there's always some barracuda around, seeing yellows that don't want to bite that well, but hopefully they'll settle in. The Sport King had 2 yellowtail, and they had good calico bass fishing, so perhaps things are settling down there at Catalina Island. It has gone from scratchier fishing to some pretty decent fishing, and I still have high hopes that there's going to be a great yellowtail bite. You know, when you look back many, many years into prehistoric times again, it used to be the fall when we would see the best yellowtail action locally and at Catalina Island. So fingers crossed. You know, it's been late, the bite, that is. It's been late from La Paz all the way up the coast. So maybe it's going to happen. We'll continue to watch it for you very, very closely. Breezy up there in the Channel Islands. It's going to stay that way for a while. There's been some calico bass up there, some barracuda. Everybody falling back on the rockfish up there in that neck of the woods. The Aloha Spirit had 3 white sea bass and some good calico bass fishing. We talked to Daniel Hadaway live yesterday. Go back and listen to that interview. And he says it's a little breezy up here, but we are managing to catch really good whitefish and sheephead. And the whitefish have been absent up there in the Channel Islands till about a week ago, and they started to turn on. They're fun to catch, great eating, and they provide excellent table fare. As I just said, they're great eating. So really, really good fishing for that up there. That's the beauty of the Channel Islands. You always fall back on that rockfish. You can't fish over 300 feet of water right now, so you're fishing those shallow water rockfish. However, if you're on our Island Spirit trip with Paulina on Friday, or you're going up there at any point in time, make sure you're bringing some 16-ounce torpedo sinkers. That will make all the difference in the world. Going to Catalina Island, jump on the El Patron. Limited load, beautiful boat. You're going to love the El Patron. Go to www.longbeachsportfishing.org and get on the El Patron. And if you're headed to the Channel Islands and you can find an open spot on the Island Spirit, you better snatch it up. I'm telling you, this Sunday, kids go free on the Island Spirit, 12 and under with a paid adult. Island Spirits, 805 676 3474, or go to venturasportfishing.com. So, some good rock fishing up there, a little bit of white sea bass and halibut from time to time, not those big explosions we were once seeing. So, we'll keep our eyes on that for you very, very closely. Don't forget a couple of great openings for you. We have one on board the Apollo in September, late September. That's when the weather is going to be best. And then the Amigo out of 22nd Street Landing in October. Two great trips. Text me today if you want one of the very few spots that are available on that. Let's go down to San Diego and talk local fishing. And there's been some great sand and calico bass fishing down there. Mostly calicos right now. It seems like on the Dolphin, they had great calico bass fishing and a couple of white sea bass. There's those exotics that are showing up. How about the new Seaforth? Their morning trip, they had the bass bite, but they had 13 yellowtail. Nice hit on the Forkies down there for the new Seaforth. Coming back in the afternoon with 6 yellowtail. They've been seeing tons of yellows, and they're catching also. Nice hit down there in that neck of the woods, Oceanside, Dana Wharf. A lot of short calico bass, but good action, man. How can you beat that? And some legal fish mixed in with it, some whitefish and sheephead, stuff like that. Up here, as we move you into the San Pedro and Long Beach area, well, it's been pretty tough. But the Victory coming through with another big day on the bass. Is it finally going to happen? They had 20 guys, 100 calico bass, limits of calico bass on the Victory out of Long Beach sport fishing. What, I ask you, is wrong with that? They had 10 barracuda. Is it going to be late? Is that what is going on? Or is this going to be another one of those, man, here we go, and then the foot comes off the gas and we put our foot firmly on the brakes? We'll have to wait and see on that one. Hopefully it's going to continue to get going. A little bit of bass up there in Redondo, Marina del Rey also, mostly rockfish, sculpin. We kind of covered the Channel Islands already. And then way up there, we're talking Morro Bay and Avila Beach. When it's not windy, it's phenomenal fishing for lings and big red, some of the best rock fishing you can ever imagine. Morro Bay and Avila Beach, really, really good. Still good halibut fishing up there in San Francisco with some stripers along with it, and they're catching big lings up there in San Francisco. Man, that is one heck of a fishery up there in that neck of the woods. All right, let's talk to Southern California surf right now. Some good Corvina fishing. This is perfectly fishable. Really, really good. There's been some spot fin croaker taken here recently on bait. And where are you going to get your bait? You're going to get it right down there on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway, about a mile from where I'm standing. So now you have a reference point where to meet us on Saturday at 11 a.m. Go to Big Fish Bait and Tackle, buy the ruler they have for sale to measure your catch, and you're automatically in their monthly giveaway of a free, custom, beautiful surf fishing rod. Get your bait on Saturday morning. You know, you can go in there at 10 o'clock in the morning, get baited up, and then meet us here. I'm sure there's going to be some guys here at like 9 a.m. If I know Dan Lightfoot and Michael Limon and those guys, they'll be here good and early. So go there. 10% off, everybody, on Saturday for Friedman Adventures family members. Make sure you mention that before you purchase. 10% off for Friedman Adventures family members at Big Fish Bait and Tackle. Get some worms and get ready to pull on some good surf fish here in Southern California. And again, with Paulina here and her mom and just a festive atmosphere, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you need directions on how to get here, I've kind of covered that. Go down to Anderson and Pacific Coast Highway and Park, and then walk out on the beach and hang a right. If you need further help or have any questions, just send me a text, 657-227-6459. Some good Corvina fishing down there on Huntington Beach. We've also seen some great Corvina fishing in the Santa Monica Bay. There's been a lot of kelp in the water here recently around the Topaz Rock Jetty down at Rats Beach and over by the pier. But if you can get in between that kelp, there's been quite a bit of beans taken in that neck of the woods. All right, I don't know what to tell you. Paulina set to arrive here in just a few more hours, around 12 noon. So we'll be getting together with her. We'll be doing a podcast today. We'll be dropping by Island Fishing Tackle, and we're really looking forward to her visit along with her mom. It's going to be a special few days. And if you can't make it down here on Saturday, we'll take you along for the ride. We'll be having some live transmissions, streaming with Paulina, and of course, we'll be on the Island Spirit with her. That is sold out on Friday. I have all that for you and so much more. I really hope to see you here on Saturday. If not, however, I hope to see you somewhere else really, really soon.